Okay,
Great song.
I got to say, I actually saw Kansas. Normally we butt in on stuff like that, but I actually saw Kansas on their very first tour, Houston Summit.
Yeah. Awesome.
Oh, gnarly, dude. All right, in the house, you got Todd Klein, mayor for candidate for mayor, not mayor for candidate. 2016. Welcome to the program.
Hey, Tom. Thank you and Laura for having us in.
All right, now earlier, this is crazy. I just before we went to top of the hour news break, I said that Todd walks in with his bodyguard about 3'5" or 3.5 feet tall. And then I get this answer from the kid that says 4'8" to be exact. Okay, welcome to the program. I guess we would say bodyguard and campaign manager, John Klein. Welcome to the program, man.
Thank you, Tom, and it's an honor to be here.
Oh, nice. You're starting them young, aren't you? All right, now you're 9 years old. You're in third grade, and you go to Roscoe Wilson. What are your favorite subjects?
Well, of course, my first favorite subject is going to be break.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And then there's PE, and then lunch, and then theater.
There you go.
Oh, theater. Oh, yeah.
He's already got them on the boards. Kid's 9 years old. Got to help you. Hey, man, thanks for coming in and making sure that he got here on time. All right, there's lots of bacon for John coming in a few minutes. All right, Todd, welcome to the show again. And, congratulations, I guess, on your, your run for mayor. Of course, your opponents are Victor Hernandez and Dan Pope. Mm-hmm. And interesting fact that you did not pay.
Completely avoided paying. That's right.
Okay, now, first of all, what's the thought process behind that?
Well,
and then how did you go about doing it? And is it kind of a pain in the butt to do that, or?
Great questions. No, it was really a lot of fun, and it was a part of. Let me adjust that mic.
There you go.
Okay, cool. The petition process really allowed us to get out and visit with folks. We wound up making it shorter than we originally planned. Originally, I was going to turn it in on this coming Tuesday, tomorrow, in other words, and we decided we turned out we only needed 25. And I just had to do with how the election was uncontested previously, so it was a lot less than we anticipated. And we got more than that, more than double that, and submitted that.
When you say 25.
25 signatures is actually all you needed because the mayoral race wasn't contested last time. So it turned out to be a lot easier just in terms of signatures. But we had a ton of people that wanted to sign that reached out to us via social media. And so we told those folks, thank you for the support. We got it, and we turned it in on, I guess that was Wednesday, and found out on Friday around noonish that we had gotten enough signatures, and so we were on there. It saves us $100, but more importantly, it's kind of just about the integrity in the process. And if we can say we're going to try to do as much referenda, as much reach out to the voters while we're in office if elected, we ought to try to do that as candidates as well. So it came down to being grassroots and being consistent with the message that we were putting out there.
Yeah, and really true that, Laura, because this was interesting. When you got elected first time, to the city council, your opponent was Kevin Glasheen. He's a pretty high-powered attorney.
That's right, great guy.
Lots of cash. And, you were outspent, at least 10-1.
That's right. It was close to 10-1, and very well may have that again this time. And I got to say, Kevin was phenomenal. Great guy. We became friends, and he was key to funding the Tim Cole Memorial. But we in fact, we in 2007 did the same thing. We did a petition process for that race as well.
What you did in that particular race, though, you went out and you probably hit every household that was in the district.
Right.
And, you were at all these school events, band concerts, things, shaking hands, talking to people, and you didn't even have a kid in the school.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody's sitting there walking, when they walk by or they meet you or something, and you go, yeah, that's Todd Klein. That's Todd Klein. And so the fact of the matter is you made contact with people and connected with people, and you won big. So, relatively speaking, the district or the districts for mayor's race in aggregate, the sum of the parts are much greater than the district you were in. So, how are you going to tackle that this time?
Man, that's a good question. I think it's scalable because it's like a business model, right? I mean, you're kind of looking at it and you say, can I do the same practices that I did previously to get there for mayor? And I think you can. It's more shoe leather. It's certainly more hours to burn in the days ahead, and each day is a blur. As I go to all these events, and my wife and I have always been pretty active in the community, so we go to a lot of the same events we've been going to the last several years, and we just happen to be a mayoral candidate, and I run into a lot of congressional candidates in the process, and I always ask them, like, how do you know what day today is? Has it been a blur? Because if you're always kind of looking at them today, say, now, is this Monday? Is this Tuesday? What day is this? And the days seem like they're flying by. You're probably doing everything you need to. But so quickly, early voting will be here. I mean, we're looking at, for congressional races, just around the corner, but not too much further down the road in terms of mayoral days either. So it's just going to be, really, it is scalable. And as much, because you're really calling it retail politics, but if you just kind of are always active in the community, you stay in the community, it means you're going to be busy, but you wind up creating those personal relationships, and I think you can scale that out to block walk all the other districts, and there's some very active areas. District 4, particularly, a lot of turnout, but you get out there and you go early, you go late, and that's how I think you win the race, and that's probably the best way to do it, quite frankly.
I just kind of I want to throw this question at you before we hit the break, and then I want to come back and I want to, Lauren, I want to ask you about what you want to do.
Yeah,
if
your
you were,
vision for,
if
for
you were
Lubbock.
elected mayor. But I just want to say this. Victor Hernandez was on the program on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
And, really we dedicated 30 minutes toward and really avoided the mayor's race kind of a thing for the first half hour because we want to talk city council stuff. And then in the second half hour, we were talking about this, and Victor had stated that he felt, I asked him, I said, do you feel, he said that 10% of the population is served. And I asked him if in the other 90% he felt was underserved, and he said, quote unquote, ignored.
Okay.
I mean, how do you feel about that? I mean, are you in agreement?
I don't think so. I think there are a lot of good things going on in the community, and I think the current council and past councils do try to reach out to people. And I try never to lump people into groups. So when I talk to people, we've got a lot of support across the political spectrum. We've got a lot of support throughout the community, ethnicity, any way you want to slice it, age. And so whenever I talk to people, they say they want government to be as open as possible. One of the things we push for were evening meetings. If elected, one of the things that we'd like to do, I'd like to see, and it takes a collaborative effort with the other council members, but could we not meet once a quarter in the various high school gymnasiums to reach out to people? So I don't know that people feel ignored, but I think people want to definitely be listened to.
All right, it's 18 minutes after the hour. Coming up next, the vision for mayor according to Klein. Good morning. Tom and Laura in conversation with Todd Klein. We've got campaign manager and bodyguard John Klein in the house, 9 years old. I said, when I asked him, I said, how old are you, man? He goes, well, I'm 9 years old. He says, sometimes it's hard to remember. Spoken like a true politician. All right, now I got to ask you, you're a Trump supporter. Laura loves Hillary, and I want you to give her some words. I mean, what do you got to say about that? What's just like one sentence reaction? I'll be nice.
Well, I just think that Trump is a pretty cool guy and that he's pretty honest. And yeah.
Really? Have you done any fact checking on anything he said?
No, I have not.
You might want to do that. A lot of things out of his mouth, maybe not so true. Anyway, let's move on. Talking to Dad here about his mayoral race. What's your vision for Lubbock if you should become mayor?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good question, and it's both inside and outside the office, honestly, because there's a lot of things that need to continue to be built in the right direction. Good things going on. Can we build on it? Yeah, but also just culturally, can we create stronger families? Can we do that through simply more collaboration partnerships in terms of improving continuity of care for families that are having a tough time? And visiting with folks, and I think we've got a lot of serious issues in the community, like any community, underemployment, those issues, and sometimes that drives a lot of symptomatic problems. We've got crimes and issues in certain parts of town that are seeming to go up a little bit, and there are concerns in East Lubbock about that kind of thing. And I think what we've got to do is continue to have the communication between the police and the communities, and have elected officials and community members really get out there and start to visit those neighborhoods. And so you've got that going on. But beyond that, in terms of a vision, I think, can we be even more open? I think we can. Evening meetings, beautiful, step in the right direction.
City council.
That's right. That's exactly right. And so can you also build on that and do things like quarterly reports, which we really need to have an opportunity to explain what's going on to the community for public consumption. And I think the best venue for that might be in the various high schools, and invite people into the community by really truly getting out of the building, out of City Hall, and into their community for that purpose. I think beyond that, take care of the basics. Continue to try to tamp down the debt as much as possible. I think that's a big issue, particularly as a concern for the community. Also, looking at the hidden taxes, the fees that are built into the budget. Can we continue to try to unwind those? I think we can. So working on the basics, key vision right there, and then also really just in terms of openness of government, I think that's absolutely critically important also. And so as a part of that vision, can we do some strategic planning to really see long-term, how do we continue to disentangle budget issues? How do we try to drive down the fees as much as possible to flatten those out? Because that's hitting a lot of families, particularly families that are in tight budgets. So you've got that going on. And then I think we ought to have an election to decide on the Citizens Tower. We're getting further and further down the road, and the arguments may be that the right direction to go is just simply to continue what we're doing. But when you're looking at least 65, bless you, son, when you're looking at least $65 million in government speak, that could very well be a lot more. I think you ought to have the public weigh in on stuff like that. Same thing with tornado sirens. God forbid we ever have a tornado hit us, and at that point in time, people are asking, why didn't we have tornado sirens? Why didn't we have a say on that? So I think you, as quickly as possible, I have an election in that direction as well. And, of course, the city charter probably ought to be looked at as a opportunity for the voters to clean that up a little bit, streamline it as well.
All right. Hey, we got probably about 30 seconds, Todd. One thing that I notice that I don't hear you saying, I don't hear you slinging around all these blanket statements that says, I'm going to do this and this and this and this in absolutes, because, you know, everybody knows that stuff ain't attainable, but 95% of candidates are always whipping that kind of stuff out.
Yeah, I think you got to underpromise and try to overdeliver, and it's a collaborative effort, so most definitely. And thank you guys.